And boy, do I have questions. So the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center has been a busy, busy place today. We talked a little bit earlier about Bill Clinton. There we are, Bill Clinton and his questioning today. So we did the one stream this morning, and I am going to do I think there's 3 more updates. So instead of doing a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there, I thought what we'd do is do it all at the same time. So this was the first update.
Sorry, guys. I mean, I can come back out and do it real quick, but I just talked to the chairman.
What's she doing? What's going on here? I'm finding it interesting how the two different sides are seeing things. What?
Yeah, you're fine.
Doing?
I think everyone hopped off to go to lunch. Okay. All right. Well, first, just first of all, a quick update. President Clinton is being very cooperative. I do want to point out, because I have seen some back and forth in regards to some of the Democrats trying to call in not credible witnesses, and I won't get into the nature of what I've asked the president specifically until after the deposition is over. But to be clear, we've had 2 witnesses, or not 2 witnesses, 2 individuals, one that accuses President Clinton of unfounded allegations of there being sex tapes, etc., by the name of Sarah Ransom. And there was an individual under the name of Katie Johnson that also had unfounded allegations of rape against our sitting president of the United States, both being claims that did not have evidence.
Don't even be going there. Trust me, there's proof on the sitting president.
For grounds of that. And so just as we wouldn't call in an individual like Sarah Ransom, who we know made up claims, we're not going to do the same thing for President Trump. So I think to be able to bring that up and conflate the two with this investigation is wrong. And I want to be very clear on record. I don't believe that Sarah claims had valid claims against President Trump in regards to what she was, President Clinton as in regards to what she was alleging. Just as I don't believe that there are valid claims against President Trump by the individual of the name of Katie Johnson. What I will say is it has become very evident, even in the last 24 hours in lines of questioning, that Jeffrey Epstein was running an intelligence gathering operation. In my professional opinion, I do believe it was a honeypot operation. And I do believe that there's a list of individuals who did engage in trafficking, were given these plea deals, and I'm going to name those individuals right now. The first one would be Leslie Groff. The second one, Sarah Kellen. The third one, Nadia Markova. And the fourth one, Adriana Ross. All of these women engaged in the trafficking of minors as adults. They were working and complicit with Jeffrey Epstein's operation. And in my opinion, they are not to be given victim status because they did partake in harming young girls. I remember seeing in some of the files, some of these girls were, as young as 10, 11 years old and older. And so obviously we have a lot of work to do, but I did want to come and give an update and let you know that President Clinton, as of right now, is cooperative and answering all of our questions. And that it leads me to believe that if we can remove the partisan nature of this investigation, we actually might be able to get justice. And so I will be calling on the the oversight committee to bring in those 4 individuals that I just listed, we will continue to conduct the investigation and provide updates shortly for all of you.
What has the former president said to the committee
I can't get over it. Nothing on Trump. Are you kidding me?
outside of the state?
You guys, I'm gonna.
I can't get into the specifics of the deposition because it's still currently going on. But again, he's being very cooperative, and I think that statement is pretty on point with what we're hearing.
I'm gonna put it in the posts, the community posts.
We will provide updates as soon as it's over. I don't want to violate the trust that we have right now in the depositions, but I do think that we are at least getting a little bit more of a clearer picture. And I will say I'm not in favor. And if there is a request to bring in an individual who's made false allegations against President Clinton, I will be voting that down in committee, just as I will be voting down any individuals that are brought forward that have made false claims against President Trump. I do think that there is a bit of partisan smear attempts in this whole investigation, but it's important to note that Jeffrey Epstein does have all of the telltale signs of an intelligence gathering operation. I think we all know that. I do believe that because of the people in power and influence, specifically presidents, etc., that he was targeting, that there is an aspect of, foreign governments trying to pit some of us against each other using this topic. And so we're more focused on that, as well as bringing justice to the victims. And there is no justice when traffickers are given plea deals. And so we'll be following up on that as well. I'm going to go back in, and what I will say is that I don't have any reason to believe right now that he's hiding the ball and everything. He's been pretty transparent.
And is it your belief, Amber, that the former president was targeted by Jeffrey Epstein on behalf of foreign nations?
It is in my opinion. I don't think the opinion of the committee, but I do believe that Jeffrey Epstein was targeting many politicians, many influential people, especially in regards to economic policy, etc. And I do believe that it was possible that not just him, but likely Secretary Clinton, as well as a number of other people, were targeted due to an intelligence gathering operation. I think the American people will agree with me on that. But again, I don't want to get into too much of the specifics of the deposition, and I will be able to tell you at least once this is over. And we will be also trying to release those recordings from Secretary's deposition yesterday, as well as President Clinton's, as soon as possible. Thank you, guys.
Okay. So I have a problem with this. There are documents out there specifically saying Epstein and Trump and a 13-year-old girl. The girl was asked to do inappropriate things and was slapped, allegedly by Trump. Now there's other things, so everything's been redacted when it comes to him. So it's not transparency. And I mean, what they've talked to the Clintons, and now they're going to say that's enough, that they won't have to bring him in? No, come on now, play frickin' fair. So we've got okay. We've got another break here. So let's see what these guys have got to tell us. I like him a lot.
President Clinton, it is all.
Honestly, I trust these people, to be honest, a lot more than I do the other ones. They need to stop making this political. This is not political, what happened to these girls.
They made the most important statement. No one is above the law. And he made it clear that it was perfectly appropriate for the committee to call him and ask him tough questions about what happened. He also made it clear that it was totally inappropriate for this committee to call Secretary Clinton. That's why personally I didn't even show up yesterday. I thought it was outrageous the way they treated Secretary Clinton. She has nothing to do with that.
That's what I thought.
But President Clinton answered the questions. I think you'll see when we have the deposition that our side that put the survivors first. We had our members, our lawyers ask questions to get the basic facts and asked difficult questions, and the president answered. And it was civil, and he set the tone, in my view, for the precedent that President Trump needs to now come and answer these
Yes.
questions. That Howard Lutnick needs to answer these questions.
Yes.
That other people part of the Epstein class who've been in these files need to come before this committee and ask these questions.
Yes.
And then that's the only way we're going to have accountability and healing. Now I'll turn it over to our ranking member Garcia.
I'm just going to introduce folks. I'll make some comments at the end. I'm going to
I
introduce
love
other
her,
members.
yeah.
First we have is Congresswoman Emily Randall.
Thank you. As you heard, President Clinton in his opening statement said that America was built on the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents. And the Democratic members of the Oversight Committee feel the same. No one is above the law, and anyone with knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes should absolutely come before the committee to give testimony about what they saw or did, who was there, who was involved. Survivors like Charlene Richard, who is my State of the Union guest, deserve the accountability and the truth. The American people deserve accountability and truth.
Mm-hmm.
That means a complete release of the files and cooperation, not obstruction, from Pam Bondi. And it means testimony on the record from anyone with information, whether that's Howard Lutnick, Bill Gates, Larry Summers, and yes, even and especially Donald Trump.
Yep.
Congressman Stansbury.
This is a problem.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, and I am deeply proud to represent New Mexico's 1st Congressional District, where our state has taken action where the federal government has failed. We have reopened an investigation through our state attorney general into the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and his associates in New Mexico, as well as passed the first state-level truth commission in this case ever passed in the history of the United States. We will be working very closely to make sure that the state is able to make a full accounting of the crimes in New Mexico. With regards to today's deposition, I want to be clear at the outset that President Clinton, as of today, has not been accused of a crime.
Exactly.
There are not public files available that accuse him of a crime, whereas there are publicly available documents that do allege a crime of President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
But it is very well established that President Clinton had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and we are treating this investigation extraordinarily seriously. And when you see the recorded deposition, you will see that we asked all of the hard questions centering the survivors, making sure that we get to the bottom of where there are discrepancies in the record, and understanding how not only the crimes that Jeffrey Epstein committed could go on, but why there was a culture that surrounded him wherein the rich and powerful turned a blind eye. And with that, I turn it back to our ranking member.
Hello, everybody. Congressman Maxwell Frost. First off, I just thank you to President Clinton for coming here today to speak with us. Answering these questions has been helpful for us as we will continue this investigation. Donald Trump, as we know, needs to come before this committee. He's been caught in multiple lies as it relates to his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I can tell you, I've seen unredacted files myself that directly refute his assertion that he kicked out Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago and the reasoning why he did that. Also, walking out of this, I can tell you we all now have a lot of new questions that we have to raise as it relates to the reasoning on why Donald Trump had a falling out with Jeffrey Epstein in the first place. Another thing is that I saw about an hour ago, Donald Trump in a press conference said that Howard Lutnick is, quote, a very innocent guy. Donald Trump has asserted many times that he knew nothing of Epstein's crimes. If he doesn't know anything about Epstein's crimes, how can he know for sure that Howard Lutnick is, quote, a very innocent guy? We have questions for him. And I think what today is showing and what yesterday is showing is, of course, no one's above the law. That includes the President of the United States. And my hope is that our Republican colleagues, as we walk out of here today and go back to D.C., will join us in making sure that we can hear from Howard Lutnick, from Pam Bondi, and from President Trump.
Good afternoon, Congresswoman Yasemin Ansari, representing Arizona's 3rd District. I think today was a historic day for transparency in the United States of America. The fact that we have the former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, under oath, speaking to the Oversight Committee and answering questions in a transparent manner is critical. I look forward to the Republican majority listening to our demands of having the transcripts and the videos unedited of both depositions, today's and yesterday's, released immediately, because the American public deserves to hear and see these answers for themselves. And ultimately, this demonstrates that nobody is above the law. And my top concern at this moment is the ongoing White House cover-up. It is deeply concerning that we are seeing a very coordinated machine from the president of the United States continuously repeating that he has been exonerated. He just repeated that today to members of the Republican Party on the Oversight Committee, repeating that lie as well. There are very credible allegations that have been looked into and investigated by the FBI that the Department of Justice is illegally withholding. Please do not stop asking about this. Why is the DOJ continuing to defy the Epstein Files Transparency Act by refusing to release the full Epstein files, by illegally withholding information, by deleting photos and videos of people like Howard Lutnick? This is unacceptable. Donald Trump must be deposed immediately in front of this committee, as do many senior level officials from this administration.
And Congressman Suhas Subramaniam from Virginia. If there was any doubt before today that oversight Democrats are treating this investigation in a nonpartisan way, it'll be put to rest when the transcripts come out. We've been asking the former president the hard questions. To his credit, he has answered every single question. He's not taken the Fifth Amendment. He's been actually quite comfortable, and he's actually given very long, deliberate answers to all these questions. And so we appreciate the former president being here today, and we would like to see the current president come before us as well and give the same kind of transparency that President Clinton has given us today. And we're going to continue to demand the release of the files and continue to demand transparency of this administration.
Two quick points. Wesley Bell, Congressman, Missouri's 1st District. First and foremost, President Clinton came here and answered tough questions. I think the victims and survivors, the American public, deserve a serious investigation, because thus far what we're seeing from Republicans is a very non-serious, as one of my colleagues referred to it, as a clown show. And having led serious investigations, I can't disagree. When we hear members from the other side coming into a deposition with conclusions, get no evidence to support those conclusions, and then announce to the world that these conclusions must be true. That is unprofessional, it's unethical, and at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get to the bottom of what actually happened so that we can hold any offenders accountable. Democrats are doing that. The president and former First Lady have done that. And now it's time for President Trump to do the exact same thing.
You bet.
Under oath, not when you can just make statements randomly on X or Truth Social, but under oath, where your right hand is in the air and there are consequences if you don't tell the truth. And so we're going to continue to push for transparency. We're going to continue to push for justice, because that's what the American people and the survivors deserve.
I think I'll just make a couple brief comments, and then I'll answer one or two questions. And then the deposition right now is on a break, and so we'll reconvene. There'll be some additional hours of questioning by both the Democratic side and the Republican side as the afternoon goes on. I want to just reiterate a couple of things that have been made, which are important. The first is that we are thankful that President Clinton came in and answered tough questions from both the minority party and the majority party. We also think it's important to note that, and he made some of these statements in his opening statement, he made it clear once again that he does not understand, nor do we, why we spent so much time yesterday grilling Secretary Clinton when she obviously had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein and had never met Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
We also want to reiterate, and I want to think it's important for us to know, our call yesterday, because of transparency, it is so important that we continue to release both Secretary Clinton's deposition and President Clinton's deposition. Both of the Clintons are committed to these records getting out as soon as possible, and oversight Democrats agree. The best way of going forward is for there to be transparency and a full public record, and we're demanding that that record not be edited.
Yes.
Just a full recording of what transpired yesterday and what will continue to transpire today through the course of the day. And finally, let me just also say once again that we have a new precedent in this country where we can now demand president and former presidents to testify in front of the Oversight Committee. So we are once again demanding that now President Trump, who was in the Epstein files almost more than anyone else besides Ghislaine Maxwell, answer our questions. This is not a hoax. He has not been exonerated, and we have serious questions for President Trump. And with that, we'll answer a couple questions.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not exonerated.
I think the best response to that is for you to view the complete record of what actually he said, which look, we're not going to disclose what was said because that's not in the rules. The Republicans keep breaking the rules, but I think to what Mr. Frost said earlier, there was I think that the President Clinton, did bring up some additional information about some discussions with President Trump. I think that the way Chairman Comer described it, I don't think is a complete accurate description of what actually was said. So let's release the full transcript.
Yes.
We can all get a full record of what actually was said, which brings up some very important new questions about comments that President Trump has actually said in the past. Any other questions? Yes.
Garcia.
I think everybody would agree that he's been very cooperative, and he's actually answering the questions fairly. I mean, to the best of his ability. He has not taken a pass on pleading the fifth for any questions. He's been very thorough. He's been asked some questions multiple times over. I think you'll see that in the transcript. So he's been very cooperative, and in fact, I don't think he's given any sense that he's been uncomfortable to be there. In fact, I think he's been pretty interested in answering, I think, all the questions of both the Republicans and the Democrats. With that, we're going to wrap up. Everyone's going to break, and then we'll continue. Thank you very much.
And he's out of there. He is out of there. So this is it. Trump keeps saying, I'm exonerated. I have been exonerated. No, man, no, you haven't. They're saying that there's no documents out there, or nobody has said anything about Trump. This is not true. You know, this should be an honest and fair investigation. But even with this, you see them come out and start saying things to get the attention away from Trump. I mean, they're saying he's being open and honest. They're saying that she was snarky. Well, I think she's probably a snarky individual. And he obviously feels he's got nothing to hide. And if he does, it'll come out. It's going to all come out. They just have to lock down Trump, because him and his little buddies there, oh, lordy, I tell you what, you guys, everyone deserves an honest leader. What this man has been doing has been chewing up your country, and it's affecting everybody. I've got a lot of friends in the US, and, well, a few friends. I won't say a lot. I've got a few friends. And I listen to them and their stories, and it's a hell of a lot different than when the orange man comes out and starts talking. And sadly, it's like we're seeing this happen again with it's like a rerun. Why are they protecting him? Let these guys talk, pull his fat butt in, set him down, and get him to talk. It's time. This is not a hoax. Oh, he makes me so mad, you guys. Everybody else is, I mean,
Well, our deposition of former President Clinton.
Everybody is entitled to their opinion on this channel. Everybody. We don't have to agree. We just have to be respectful. And there's a reason I called this channel I Have Questions, because, oh my God, do I have questions.
Has concluded. I want to thank everyone for braving the cold and staying out here. I know it's been a very long day. We believe this was a very productive deposition. I will have to say that President Clinton answered every question, or attempted to answer every question. We can talk about some of his answers in more detail, and I'm sure once the video is released and the transcript's released, not only will you, but a lot of people in America will have more questions about some of the answers that were given and where we go from here. But with respect to today, this was a long process, and I want to say this was historical. I believe that in the history of Congress, the two highest ranked officials to ever be deposed by Congress would be President Bill Clinton and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
And bring
this
in
is a serious investigation. We will continue to try to get the truth to the American people and justice for the victims. But I think a consistent theme continues to persist throughout all the people that we bring in. Obviously, the government failed the victims. There was justice was not served in Palm Beach when Epstein was first arrested. We're very concerned about that. We still have lots of questions about how Epstein accumulated so much wealth, and we will continue to bring some more people in and try to get answers. I'm going to yield to the other committee members, but every member of the committee participated both days and asked very good questions. Ms. Mays?
Yes, I want to thank President Clinton for being here today. He was here for a very long day. He did attempt to respond to every single question asked, even when his attorneys told him to shut up. He kept, going. I think there's agreement too on everybody who was here on both sides of the aisle that we want to get to the bottom of this, whether Jeffrey Epstein was an intel asset or honeypot operation. Sex trafficker, prostitution ringleader, financier of Ponzi schemes, financial crimes, etc. There is an effort, I believe, and a belief that we need to get to the bottom of this, because justice was not served in the Southern District of New York. It was not served in Palm Beach, and it certainly hasn't been served for many victims around the world who are victims of this operation. I want to thank my colleagues on both sides of the aisle for their questions today. Representative Stansberry had a lot of courageous questions. She showed bravery today. She and I never get along, sometimes, in fact, in between arguing and oversight. But I say that because this is a place that is not partisan. This is a place where the country is seeing Republicans and Democrats work together.
Then you guys have to start acting and behaving like you're working together. Because what you're going to say in the next little while, I tell you what.
To figure this out, find the truth, and try to come up with solutions so that when this happens, women are believed, men are prosecuted, their abuses are prosecuted, and justice can be seen and can be done. And I want to thank everyone for their hard work. I think I can't say anything about the questions and answers today or yesterday, but I will comment that I believe you'll see some inconsistencies in some of the responses. I brought that to the forefront this afternoon. Thank you.
I'd like to close by saying that we do intend to follow up and bring in, and I know that that's up to the chairman's discretion, but some of the co-conspirators that were given lesser sentences that were known to have trafficked young girls. Unacceptable. There's a difference between a victim and someone who engaged in prostitution and the trafficking of minors, and that needs to be clarified. I will again hold to the same thing that I said earlier, and that I do believe, and I'm sure some people on this committee also believe, that Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset and running some form of a honeypot operation. I do believe that President Clinton, as well as the secretary, were potentially targets of that operation. And we will leave it at that. And I look forward to seeing you all react to the depositions, as I think that this is information that's important and belongs to the American people.
I want to reiterate what some of my colleagues have said. I want to salute our chairman, James Comer, for putting together an extremely professional deposition these last 2 days. Factual. This was not a highly partisan event like most of our hearings are when we're in Washington. We were there to ask direct questions. I think President Clinton today was quite candid, probably more candid than his attorneys were comfortable with. But I think that this will obviously, when we release the video of this, I mean, you'll have the opportunity to digest it. But we do have to get justice for the victims, because in all of the political food fight of Washington, D.C., what is getting lost is the fact that there are victims that deserve justice.
Mm-hmm.
Depositions like this are important because we need to get answers. We need justice for the victims. Epstein and his associates committed unspeakable evil, and I'm glad that President Clinton and Hillary came out here. What I believe I saw in the last 2 days was selective memory, very good details back into the 90s, and in other times, I don't know, I don't recall. So we have more questions to answer. Thank you.
And we'll answer a couple of questions. Yes.
Can't really hear the questions.
Well, we're going to bring more people in. We're not finished. We didn't want to announce names before today. It was so hard to get the Clintons in. I didn't want to do anything to jeopardize losing them. I think we learned some things. We were hoping to get more, but there were many questions, as you will see, hopefully in the next 24 hours when the videos were released, that there were a lot of very specific questions about very specific documents and correspondence that were subpoenaed by that we got from the Department of Justice, as well as the Epstein estate. Many times the Clintons couldn't recall or didn't know or denied that they were pertaining to them. So, but I do think that we picked up some new facts. We asked both Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton where we should go from here as a committee, because we're sincere about trying to get the truth to the American people and hold some bad actors accountable in this. Yes, yes. Yeah, we're trying. We've got one employee that does the videography, and he had to do the videography today too. So we're going to try to release those.
Are they a couple?
Well, the transcript has to be approved by the attorney. So the video could very likely come out before the transcripts. Once the transcribers were in here, we had a whole team of transcribers. They're going to, put it on paper. Then both sides will get to approve the transcripts. Then we'll release it. That's standard rules of deposition. We always do that. We will do that with the videos as quick as we can get them all uploaded and cleaned up, any background noise or anything like that. Then we will release them hopefully in the next 24 hours. Yes, yes.
Just saying.
Well, we have a lot of questions about anyone who spent time with Epstein post conviction, the first conviction. I think that's where, and if anyone disagrees, feel free to speak up, but I think that's where most of our concerns are. Once you knew Jeffrey Epstein was a sex offender, why did you continue a relationship? So
ask Howard Lutnick that. Ask Howard Lutnick that.
Why do you think today was more respectful than yesterday? Was President Clinton more cooperative?
Well,
good question.
We were respectful.
Well, yeah, I mean,
think
you can watch the video and say, you know, everybody knows President Clinton. He's got
He was pretty
Southern people skills. He's a charming individual,
Slick
obviously.
Willie.
So, yes, yes.
They do look like a couple, just saying.
Well, they said they weren't. I guess innocent until proven guilty. We're going to go back and look at. There were the reason Miss Clinton complained about being asked the same question over and over is because we presented different emails, different documents that would suggest that she was close with Epstein and Maxwell, and obviously she denied that. Now we're going to go back and verify that to see if any type of perjury was committed. Chad.
Jesus. Look into Trump. You want perjury. Unreal. The guy's name is in there more than anybody else's but Ghislaine Maxwell's.
From all the evidence I've seen, he's been exonerated for a long time.
I have a problem with that.
Well, we'll discuss that as we move forward. Obviously, we've got more people to bring in, and we'll see if any new evidence arises. But right now, I haven't seen anything. And if anybody
Now,
just
can I just say this? The Epstein victims have exonerated.
No, they have
President
not.
Trump. This is a trope that you guys are, a rabbit hole you guys are going
No.
down.
No.
Have been exonerated over and over again by Epstein victims.
No.
We need to get all the information on co-conspirators. We still don't even have the names of all the co-conspirators because the Southern District of New York.
Okay, I have to pause her because I'm going to show a document when we're done with this that just shows exactly the BS that this woman is spouting. I don't even know who she is, but I don't like her.
Is hiding that information by redacting those names. And so
Wait,
he's
just
been
wait, just
exonerated.
real quick. If I can also just add into that.
Talk about transparency.
If I can just elaborate real quick.
Was
Hold
on
Nancy,
Epstein's
hold on.
plane 26 flights.
Hold on.
I mean, he had information with them for hours and hours. Lots
Real
of
quick,
dinners, all the
Chad,
things.
if I can just add in President Clinton, and you guys will all be able to hear specifically what he said, reference a 2002-2003 conversation of which he did not feel that President Trump had any wrongdoing in regards to Jeffrey Epstein. It's incredibly important that you guys see through the partisan nature of what has become this entire investigation. It's also important that you guys are reporting the fact that everything that we are seeing in these documents, to include what I presented to both the Secretary and President Clinton, show that Epstein was running an intelligence operation. He was targeting people specifically, and he was intentionally bringing in and using women to traffic in minors and then exposing vulnerabilities for different people. What I will also
Why did Mar-a-Lago have so many young girls working there? How is it that place turned into a honeypot collection? You know, I don't understand. And when they start getting all defensive over Trump, we will take a look at that document, and then I'm going to put it into the community tab, and you guys can take a look at it, print it off, whatever it is you want to do with it.
also say is that, like Nancy has said and the chairman, there is nothing that we are seeing where there's criminal involvement or reason to believe that the president has any wrongdoing, and that is why we are not supporting this crazy theory and bringing him into all of this. We appreciate that President Clinton said what he did, and I will say that that has probably been, I guess, the silver lining in all of this.
And I will say Secretary Clinton and President Clinton both offered, I think, suggestions, advice on where this investigation should go based on information they have, things that they've seen, experiences in their positions. And that's helpful to this entire thing. And again, this has been not partisan. We saw really great questions from the Democrat side of the Oversight Committee and the Republican side today. I was very impressed with where this went today.
Oh, good. I'm happy for you. Sorry for the snark.
Nope, I've never heard that from a single victim.
When we
Stop
met
talking late.
on the committee, the Republicans and Democrats met with, what were there, 5 or 6 survivors that day? We met with 2 hours. And their attorneys. Of course, the Democrats asked that question numerous times to the victims, and they all said they never saw anything or heard anything that Donald Trump did wrong. Never saw him on the island or anything
And
else.
if I can just add in real quickly, also there was false allegations made against President Clinton. Okay, we are not going to bring in people that were making false allegations against either president. That's not what you do in this. Okay, we're looking for justice, and that's why we're going to be bringing in some of the known co-conspirators that were given plea deals. Okay, that's justice.
And Congressman Luna, you did a great job on that today.
Last question, yes.
Lordy, what a mess.
I have raised my concerns with redaction to the Southern District of New York. They have a letter, the DOJ and the CIA.
My advice to the Department of Justice is release the documents and unredact the names of anyone who wasn't a victim. And I think one of the issues we have, can you be a victim and a victimizer?
Yes.
That's a question that we're going to talk about as we move forward. Now, we look forward to seeing you next week in Washington. We will have further announcements of where we're going with the investigation, but we have 2 more depositions already booked, one with Jeffrey Epstein's accountant and one with Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. So those are forthcoming. We'll probably announce some more people we're going to bring in prior to those depositions. But I think we had a good 2 days in New York City. I appreciate the Clintons being here. Wish it wasn't so hard to get them here, but as often is the case, it was more difficult than it should have been. But thank you all for being here, and we look forward to releasing the video and the transcript as soon as possible. Thank you all.
Unreal. That's about all I have to say about that. Is absolutely unreal. They're still defending Trump. They absolutely are still defending Trump. Okay, so I'm going to show you something. This here is Roy Black, which is one of Jeffrey's lawyers, along with Ellen Dershowitz. Maybe this Jack Goldberg. I have no idea why this is redacted or this. So Reuters / lawsuit against Jeffrey Epstein, importance high, it's privileged and redacted. So from Martin Weinberg, not sure what this is all about. Well, maybe it's his information. So privileged redacted, being forwarded message from redacted to redacted. Says, hi, Marty. The attached lawsuit was filed this week in federal court in California, alleging that Jeffrey Epstein and another man, Donald Trump, oh yes, Donald Trump, R-worded her in 1994. We're planning on publishing the story on the suit this afternoon, and we want to make sure it's fair. Is Mr. Epstein available to speak, or do you want to offer a comment on his behalf? Gives us number. He's available anytime. Thank you in advance. So, privileged redacted. Roy Black, and I have been going through a lot of information on Roy Black. I've been spending hours looking at all of his texts and emails. I've been looking up his company. Oh yeah, he's still got a company that's in Florida. It looks like it's Flourishing Company. So there's that. But you know, honestly, you guys, I just wanted to show you that there is stuff out there that is pointing to the current administration. I mean, what was Howard Lutnick doing on the island? After, I think they said, what was it, 2012? I was going to call him Nutlick, but that he was there with his, friends, kids, and nannies on the island? They were next door neighbors. That big brownstone in New York, they were neighbors. He needs to be deposed. You know, there is so much shade. How about we just start bringing out some truth, which means anybody that could possibly have any information or accountability possibly for what has gone on, bring them on. Bring them on. I don't care what side of the street they're on. If they were behaving like this and hurting kids like this, I mean, the politics have nothing to do with it. Really, do they? So guys, I am going to leave it there. It's exhausting trying to decipher between where the truth lies and where it doesn't. So guys, again, I still have questions. I have so many questions. Let me know what your questions are down below. It's Friday night. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you really, really soon in the next one. Bye.